some of the Victorian embellishments that you can see on it, including what you might call a widow's walk off the third floor. I have a feeling there's no whaling ships coming home anytime soon. You see those a lot in coastal New England villages. Recently it's been up for sale, I think, for something, I think $900,000 or something like that. Doesn't have a lot of land though. If somebody wanted to turn it into a bed and breakfast, I'm not sure they have it. Been here for a few years as a cat repair shop. So this road right now is called West Confederate Avenue. Avenues on the map were not here. They were built so that people could see what's going on here. But there would have been Confederate infantry and artillery here. There's artillery at the aim towards Cemetery Hill. Look to your left or east. It's the tree line to the right of the Blue Green Water. Mostly treeless at the top of that. There's some additional orchards. These are apple trees. That's what the Park Service believes. The Miller family had planted here. Part of that building is original, but most of it has been added post-battle. If you look at the front of it, as we drive past it, you will see that bronze plaque that I did mention was right here. Oh yeah. In a moment, as you get up a little bit higher, if you look to your left, which is east, you'll start seeing most of the rest of the building lines of Day 2 and 3. Cemetery Hill, where those twin pine trees are. Cemetery Ridge, where you'll start seeing monuments. The dome being the Pennsylvania Memorial, the obelisk being U.S. Regulars, and further distance you see two hills. Yeah. The tall one on the far right is Big Round Top. Looking the way it would have then, with the exception of it with the leaves, full and completely wooded. That's the major reason there's very little fighting on it. Little Round Top, which will be up in two places on it later, is that rocky, smaller hill to the left of it, made more important because farmers the previous year who had no idea there was going to be a battle here, will remove most of the trees from its western slope. They wanted the wood for various purposes. This is 25 miles an hour. Not that I go that fast, usually this guy's going about 3. Yeah. Give me more time to talk about the North Carolina State Mine. It's coming up on your left. This goes up in 1929. What it shows are 5 bronze soldiers, almost as if they're leaning into a hail of bullets. Right. The sculptor, the same man who did Mount Rushmore. Gutzon Borglum, 1929. He said he found this a little bit easier to do than the president's faces in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Yeah. It also looks a little bit like the Iwo Jima monument, if you've ever seen that or photos of it. Yeah. This was done quite a bit earlier.
It looks like, I'm pretty sure they had this was in the movie, they had a little shot of that.
If they did, it was a mistake. Oh, you're talking about the one inside the
inside the visitor center.
It's been a while since I've seen that film, but you're probably right. You've seen it more recently than I have.
Just a little, impact.
Now, if you look off between the two lines, you look straight across, the distance is just under a mile. It appears gently rolling. But notice, as we go further south here, we're going to be heading into a pretty deep little swim. If you wanted to, you could walk between the two lines. It's not illegal. And we can discover a couple of places where we get almost as deep as we are here heading east. What that means is that we're going to have some limited protection. Because in those days, artillerists would only fire at targets they could see. They didn't use for observers back then. They thought it was a waste of ammunition. So some limited protection. The Confederates after it. Virginia Mine is coming up here. So what we're going to talk about here is the setup for the second day. I'll also show you how the Confederate troops will align for Pickett's charge on July 3rd. Without going into detail about the attack, because I'll be doing that from the Union side later. And this is the Virginia State Mine.
Yeah.
It goes up in 1917. It's the first former Confederate state mine that's on the battlefield. I believe its cost was $25,000 in 1917. I don't think you can get any of the bronze figures for that price. Bronze figure that was put up for General Gibbon in 1988, and the cost of that monument, now it wasn't all just the bronze, of course, was $75,000.
Oh, okay.
Put up by the old War Department, probably the early 1900s.
That's the Virginia Monument. It's beautiful.
Artillery, and this distance of almost a mile has never had to advance. So Longstreet gives Lee options to avoid doing that. One would have been staying in position along Seminary Ridge and awaiting Confederate attack, Union attack. You could do that for a while. Eventually, Union cavalry will eliminate your ability to force this attack. The second option is to take a part of the Confederate army around the ramparts, which you can see through the trees in the distance, and attack the backside. Another option is to take the entire Confederate army into Maryland. It's only 11 miles away. Impose yourself on the Union supply line and await Union attack there. I think the reason Lee is objecting to those options is concerned about his route of retreat and resupply back to the mountains. That's where he came from, that's where he's going to go back if he needs to. So we'll say to Longstreet, the enemy is there we will attack him. So Lee's plan for the second is a two-pronged attack against Cemetery Hill, with Longstreet striking the Union left at places like, well actually let me back up a little bit. He was supposed to attack up the Gettysburg Road. Breaking Union left where Lee thought it was. Where was that? A little bit in front of where the Pennsylvania mines is today. And then continuing on towards Cemetery Hill. Then to the other side, Richard Ewell's corps was passed to strike East Cemetery Hill and Tulsa, therefore putting Cemetery Hill in a fight by attacking with two different sides. Now the Confederates have a couple of problems on July 2nd. One is that Lee does not know for certain where the Union left is. He thinks it's there. We know at times it's a little around top, but you can see through the trees. I can make out a monument actually on it if you look through those trees right there, okay? We know it for a time it's a little around top. We know for a time it's in the Devil's Den, which is 500 yards in front of Little Round Top. Why the discrepancy? Lee is working with intelligence that was gathered early in the morning. By the time of the attack, until late afternoon, things had changed. We'll get into that Christmas a little bit later. The second problem, take a look behind you. I think you can... modeled after grandchildren of veterans who are in Gettysburg. It's a good place for putting a Virginia monument because the accounts of Lee for a time on July 3rd out of what is known as the Point of Wood. You can see that artillery piece? Yeah. And the aiming point of the July 3rd attack is that. Yeah.
Virginia have to replace them? Or no, it'll be the federal government.
Park Service budgets have been stationary pretty much. So when the salary increase comes by, they have to cut staff. And they're hiring people with lower grades than they used to. I'll stay away from that. You want me to get a photo with the two of you in front of it? It's my canister, it's like an artillery shotgun.
Right.
Did you get it, Brenda?
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
man is flailing the musket, not aiming at the man going down, but at a Yankee who can't be seen in this tank. A couple of the oldest artillery pieces down in the battlefield, manufactured in 1857. Where? The end of Street. Now here's something that's been planned for a long time, but they probably finally got around to it because they've got the budget for it. And that is redoing the Warfield House. Abram Warfield was an African-American blacksmith at the time of the battle. So they removed the modern part of the structure. I think that's going to go soon. They're going to rehabilitate the stone structure and try and put it back as close to possible to what it would have looked like at the time of the battle. That's what all that is going on right now. It's in process. It'll probably take another year or two.
You say he was a blacksmith?
Yes. In fact, if you look at the map, the Confederate line, Seminary Ridge, the extension of it is named after him. It's called Warfield Ridge. Now this is the Wheatfield Road we're on. Okay, it would have been here, although half the width dirt covered. It intersects the Emmitsburg Road, one of the 10 major roads that brings the battle here. And then a little bit beyond Peach Orchard ground is the important part, not the fact that it had fruit trees. Right. Number one, as we approach it, take a look at it to see if you can't notice it looks a little bit like an upside down saucer, which makes it a gently sloping hill and also a very good artillery position. Gently sloping hills give you much better feel as a fire for artillery. And the second thing that's important about the ground in the Peach Orchard is going to be its relative height compared with other grounds, which I'm going to show you right now. Believe it or not, this is a two-way road. You're not supposed to park on the grass. Before we get to the higher part of the Peach Orchard, that's the Rose Farm to your right. This is Wheatfield is fought in. And through the notch in the trees, you can see some of the big grounds out there. Which can only be accessed by a trail. And as we make the turn, I think you start seeing that, hey, yeah, this ground is fairly high. So where's the ground I want to compare? That'll be the ground in and around the Trollsville Barn and House, which is about 30 feet lower. Why there? Because General Sickles, the Union 3rd Corps commander, at his headquarters. Now, Sickles was the only one of the 7 Union Corps commanders who was not a West Point graduate. He was what is commonly referred to as a political general. He had been a congressman in the 1850s from New York City. When the war breaks out, he's going to raise 5,000 New Yorkers for U.S. service. This is how he becomes a brigadier general. He comes here to Gettysburg as a 2-star general and command of 10,500 men. I consider him brave and charismatic, but he has a couple of issues. Number one, he doesn't know that much about Civil War military tactics. And to make things worse, he thinks he does. So on July 2nd, his corps should have been holding a position on the lower third of Cemetery Ridge, or from about where the Pennsylvania mines is today. That would have been the right of his line, linking up with Hancock's 2nd Corps. With his left, look to your right and rear, like being on Little Round Top, which you can see through the trees now in the distance. Yes. Okay, I can make out, I think, at least 1 or 2 monuments up there. We'll be up on there later. But Sickles' headquarters is near the Trollsville Barn, and he knows from a prior reconnaissance the Confederates are out there in that tree line. His concern is they're going to advance, seize the higher ground in the Peach Orchard, place artillery in it, and in his mind he can see them lobbing shells at his men in the low ground. So he tries to get approval to move to a new position. He doesn't get it, so what does he do? He moves them anyway. To a new position which will be well in advance of the rest of the Union line, and ultimately in the shape of 2 sides of a triangle. Now, let me show it to you to the extent we can see it from here, then I'll borrow your map to show it to you a little bit different. The right wing of his line, once he moves, will start out about midway between those 2 barns along the Emmitsburg Road, and then come towards us along the road, like that bus is driving, with the angle in the line being just beyond where those artillery battery monuments are. Left wing, down the Wheatfield Road. When it gets closer to the trees, it goes through them. That's where the Rose Wheatfield is, and then the line ends at a place with a very colorful name. It's known as a Doubleston. Now, take a look at the miniature map of July 2nd. Let me get out a pen here so I can use it as a pointer. Confederate line would be in red, Union line would be in blue. Where are we? Right about there. Position he should have been holding, we're in for about there, and about there. So now when Longstreet attacks, there's numerous problems. Can you point out one?
Well, and he's totally disconnected and he can be cut off.
Yes. There's a gap here to our north which could be exploited. Secondly, Meade doesn't know that Sickles has made the move for about a half an hour. Thirdly, his new line is twice as the length of what his original, almost twice the length of what his original line should have been.
So it's weaker, sort of.
Exactly.
Easier to
And lastly, it's a defensive line that's no longer straight. It has this angle in it. Why is that a problem? Well, these two red arrows are trying to indicate something. If you attack both sides of an angle line at the same time,
Right.
it's a little bit like a double team block in football. 2 men against 1. If you're a Union soldier here or there, you can only point your weapon in one direction at a time, and you're probably taking fire from 2 different directions. So what I will suggest to you, not everyone goes this far, that everything on July 2nd becomes reaction to what Sickles does. The Union will send all sorts of reinforcements to various parts of his battle line to try and keep his from collapsing. Notice I'm pointing towards Culp's Hill here, which we talked about a little bit earlier, which makes all those other positions less defensible. They'll even send men to places where he should have been, like Little Round Top. So the reason the 20th Maine and Vincent Brigade get there is because Sickles either abandoned the position or more likely was never there to begin with. So, bigger picture now on July 2nd. Longstreet will strike the Union 3rd Corps, which in 2.5 hours loses 40% of its men, as the remnants drift back to Cemetery Ridge, saving grace for the Union Army that eventually, although with great difficulty, the farmers remove most of the trees, and they're trying to keep it that way. Now we're going over a couple of bridges. The bridges weren't here, the small stream was. This is Plum Run, which winds up getting a nickname after the battle of Bloody Run. So there's another colorful expression. And the Valley of Death would be that southwesterly corner of Little Round Top, taken from the 23rd Psalm. Because of all the Confederate Union soldiers killed, seriously wounded, in an attempt to either attack or defend Little Round Top. When we get up on the main slope of the hill, you'll understand the reason why that's why both sides wanted to say. Now, Sickles' left should have been over there. Right. So places left in the Devil's Den, which is coming up here on your right. These rocks and boulders that you see are, according to geologists, from a volcano coming through the Earth's crust 200 million years ago. And then over time, the lava cooled, hardened, and has been eroding ever since. So some 3rd Corps troops near the crest of Devil's Den, like the mine you see up there in Naked Pennsylvania. As you'll notice, it is high ground from where we are. The real question is it high ground compared to Little Round Top? Not really. So this position, Devil's Den, will be struck by Confederates from Texas and Alabama, and then right behind them will come Henry Benning, Georgia Brigade, and they'll take the Devil's Den and hold it through July 4th. Named Devil's Den may have come from a large black snake prior to the Civil War that had its homewards den amongst the rocks. Some of these have been given names because of their sizes and shapes. For example, coming up here on your right, just beyond where this lady is sitting, you see a fairly flat rock that is known as the Devil's Table. This is the Ward Rock. There was an artist by the name of Albert Ward who sat on that rock just the way she did. I think she was imitating what he was doing, I believe. Maybe she's seen the photograph or her father did. The one behind it, the Devil's Slipper. It does look a little bit like a shoe. Although if you look at it from right to left, you can see a smiling whale with its eyes closed. And the rock right behind the Devil's Den sign right now is known as the Devil's Bathtub. It's a rainwater accumulation known as the Elephant Rock. We're getting a little bit more glare here, but yours on both sides of the middle. So this will be attacked by Confederate troops from Alabama and Texas, and right behind them, claiming this position, would be Henry Benning of Georgia Brigade. Or Benning, Georgia is his name. Oh, okay. Another witness tree in front of us. That's I believe, a white oak. Remember, about 15, 20 years ago, the Forest Service cleared a lot of trees from this area, and they left that one remaining because they believe it was there. So that was cut up into small pieces you might find somewhere else. And here's a neat view between Devil's Den, Valley of Death, and Round Top. 500 yards as the crow flies. detail you see here, 3 of these 4 pieces will be captured by the cutters when they take the bills. One gets away. Up there in the distance, that's the extension cemetery. That's a part of what you're doing. The wheat field in Homer. 24-acre wheat field. Over the course of maybe 2.5 hours, 4,000 gallons. Directly here, we buried today among the dead of Pickett's division one she-rebel. That's what he called it. So, but they're very, 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 very few.
Few women.
Women's role back then was in the home. And, you know, a lot of them became nurses here. A lot of people in town became nurses, even though they had medical. Now, what you're looking at here is the Rose wheat field. 24 acres of wheat, 4,000 plus casualties. That's because there's not just one attack and repulse, it's a series of 6 attacks and counterattacks. Hand-to-hand fighting, also some of the Stony Hill in front of us probably gets most of its attention because there's also the site of the New York City Irish Brigade, which you can see here to your left. Celtic Cross, Irish wolfhound at its base, above the door, the Irish Harp. Cloverleaf, however, is the symbol of the Army's second corps. It's not an Irish symbol. So diamonds, sickle surge corps troops like the 5th Michigan. These are reinforcements descended from the 2nd Corps. They're even going to the 5th Corps troops that are sent in. And their monuments have the symbol of the Maltese cross, which dates back at least as far as the Crusades. Beyond this set of rocks on your left, you can see one in the pup tent-shaped monument, the 32nd Mass. Can you make it out?
Yes.
There's also one at the top of the 22nd Mass. So not all these units were at the same time, which shows the very chaotic reinforcement of Sickles' position, both on the Stony Hill and the Rose Wheat Field. There's a small number of monuments on the battlefield that are somewhat more realistic. There's one coming up on your left, I believe it is, showing a dead man next to a fence line. That's the reality. That's an Irish unit. That was a unit, Irish unit that was recruited in Philadelphia. Here's a different view of the high ground feature. We're about the same height as Sickles headquarters right now. Notice where we are here, you need somebody up there to let you know what's going on. The question is how many skirmishers might have been enough. As opposed to you see the hole in the barn again? Yes. Right, that you saw it before. Have you ever seen photographs that show maybe 10 or 12 dead horses? They were taken, the photograph was taken between the house and the barn. And those are Union artillery horses that were trying to pull the artillery to safety, but they could be shot by Confederates. Both sides did it. Kill the horses like treatment fires and all. It's immobile, subject to being captured.
Was that considered, I don't know, particularly despicable or no?
It was another example of those. Well, they did it. You know, they would, officers had, these generals had higher casualty rates than the privates did. Part of the reason? They're up on a horse.
Yeah.
You'd rather take out a higher or lower ranking individual. Battle lines typically for infantry were 2 men deep, and in the front rank in the middle, the guy carrying a flag. Considered to be among probably the bravest man in the unit. But well, sometimes I ask students if I'm giving them a little bit of a marching, is there insurance paid up? There's one North Carolina unit that fights a Michigan unit. That's the 24th Michigan out on July 1st near the Hucks Woods. And the 24th goes through 8 flag bearers. The 26th North Carolina goes through 14. Probably probably 45 minutes. We're going to do next is we're going to go around. What I'll do, and this will be out of order because it's a one-way road, I'll take the 23 position. Okay. And then after that, we'll go to the main slope of the hill, which where the view is. So what I say there will happen before what the 23 is.
You mentioned the generals having a high mortality rate. Reynolds is killed on the 1st daily
He's leading the second Wisconsin. And remember when we crossed back across the railroad bridge? That happened a little bit to our right and front. Keep in mind, I have to make choices on these tours. I can't talk about everything.
Sure. No.
Unless you want to make it a 6-hour tour, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Reynolds killed probably about 10, 15, somewhere around 10, 15 in the morning. So he's probably doing something in hindsight he shouldn't have been doing. That's leading an infantry regiment.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what happened. If we look up the hill, this would be the path if we went straight to Fort Worth, Texas. It's a difficult climb.
Yes.
High humidity, 85 degrees.
85 degrees.
Carrying a rifle, weighing 10 or 12 pounds, 5 pounds of bullets. Canteen, water is heavy. When you get near the top of the hill, you got Union soldiers firing back down again. Maybe not get in front of me, might be able to see a little bit of up there, but the grass is not as tall as the stone wall. Why not? It wasn't built until your wife heard. They didn't have enough time to build another second. That's what discussed for me. There's another more realistic monument, the man bowing his head. He just finished burying his friend. Both the monument and their flank park, you can see one over there in the shape of old-fashioned tombstones. 20th Main is across the parking lot where that large van is should hold 3 vehicles. If they're not in the middle of it, they're taking up 2 spots. They stay, if they're still here. I don't know. That's the monument. That's where we're walking.
I envisioned like it's going this way. Oh, okay.
You want to stick around?
I did.
Maine, like the other 3 regiments in Vincent's brigade, was posted here. And to hold
No, you're
around the
fine.
wall hazards, which means you die here, you hold the position.
Right.
The original left would be where the monument now stands. The stone wall could not have been there. A double rank heading out in this direction, linking up with the 83rd Pennsylvania, which you see the trees in the distance, probably about where that white vehicle is right now. You'll also send one company B, out in that direction. And we drive from where we are, what they sent out there to do is to guard the left at the far left regiment. Now the men who attacked the 20th Maine are going to be the 15th primarily, and some elements of the 47th Alabama. They also have an interesting story because in the morning of July 2nd, they are in New Guilford, Pennsylvania, which is 18 miles from here. Wow. So they march back that far. Plus, they participate in Longstreet's countermarch. So not only are they tired, they're bone dry. When they get to the Confederate battle line, which is about 1.5 miles in that direction, which basically to our west, the colonel in charge will send out about 20 men with all the canteens of the regiment. But they don't get back until it's still fast starting. So not only they're tired, they're bone dry. Now, because there are some men from Berdan sharpshooter unit. These are Union men who are wearing green uniforms. They're somewhat camouflaged, several hundred yards out in that direction. The 15th and 47th Alabama attempt to bypass them by climbing all the way to the top of the mountain. So wasn't a clear back there. I did said about 25 years ago, a group not using the it was, as Colonel Oates described, a trip growth and so much I could not do it. The problem is they're not doing anything. So it's actually a staff officer. They're trying to find up there and tells them, you guys got to kill that because you have Chamberlain right stuff this direction. A series of 3 attacks, each time they're repulsed. They head back into the shadows of being round top and reform. What they're trying to do is to get around the left to the far left direction. So after the 3 attacks, Chamberlain realizes that if they do that one more time, they'll be behind them.
They have the bed with the blanket, the original blanket, and they have the clock and some other original things. And I remember the Rangers, they give you a 20-minute tour. It's a small house. He says that's got to be the last thing Jackson heard, because the clock is the original clock.
And the arm is very simple. That's Warren. When he gets there, he's going to be pretty upset. The only men he's going to find on this hill are the signalmen we talked about at the Virginia mine. No unit infantry. He's George Hillsborough 1, looking off to his left and seeing through those trees reflections. Trees don't reflect light. What are you looking at? Confederate rifles, bayonets, maybe brass butt is going to be in the sun. So he knows now he needs to get Union troops here. If the Confederates take this position in force, get some of their artillery on it. Of course, they're going to remove themselves. The other thing he's probably muttering, more colorfully than I will today, where's Sickles in the 3rd Corps? Left is in the Devil's Den. That's pretty easy to see.
Yeah.
Center line, peach orchard. See that car that's parked along Ayers Avenue? Look straight up and slightly to the right. Because the lines hit you to the right direction in the beginning. Here that had weapons that could be fired with multiple rounds. 1.5 regiments in Custer's, Michigan of cavalry had Spencer, which had a 7-shot magazine. That was the rifle as far as they could start firing out something. They were much faster than that. There's the 5th Corps again on that one had artillery, one of the U.S. regular unit. weapons that could be fired with multiple rounds. 1.5 regiments in Custer's, Michigan, could be used for cavalry against Spencer, which had a 7-shot magazine. That would be rifles before they could start firing on Sunday. They went much faster than that. There's the 5th Corps again on that one. That was artillery. One was U.S. regular unit. Granite carvings of elements of the battle featuring Pennsylvania soldiers. The statues you see are mostly Pennsylvania generals, except for Lincoln on the left-hand side. And the bronze plaques, almost all of them Pennsylvania regiments that fought here, with the names of virtually every man in the unit on it. Close to 34,000 names, giving Mile End the idea for the Vietnam War. Although there's 58,000 dead here, living wounded or killed in a Pennsylvania regiment. Their name is likely on the monument. And they updated some of those through about 1930, by the way. And then they stopped doing it once it was So a little bit of summary leading up to July 3rd, first day's fighting, north and west of town. Confederate victory, driving Union forces, 1st and 11th Corps back to Cemetery Hill. On the 2nd, they're attacking both ends or flanks of the line. What areas of the Confederates now have control? The lower slope of Culp's Hill, Peach Orchard, Devil's Den. So that evening, both commanders have decisions to make. The Union Army decides to stay in position one more day. If attacked by Confederates, we'll be mostly in that tree line to our left, except out, we will decide to strike the Union center. These trees that you see coming up on your left are described by that fence, that iron fence, the aiming point of Village Church. They begin the offensive with an artillery barrage, 160 cannon, try to rake this area left and front as far as they could to do two things: knock out Union artillery. Many more pieces you're bending, you see here today. And second one, killer demoralized, the main unit infantry line. And you see marked by the road line. Let's go a little bit faster, bump the trees and get out. 42nd New York. 42nd New York. The troops in were recruited by Tammany Hall. You probably heard of it. Their mythological leader was Chief Tammany in the 17th century Indians. They wanted him on the monument, even though the people who were in charge of the battlefield back then said, you know, this isn't a really good idea. The reason visitors to the field will think that Indians fought the Battle of Gettysburg. One of my folks ran the attack. He's told, if you don't send the men soon, we'll have no long-range ammunition to provide for the attack. Also nearby is going to be George Pickett, who's leading one of the 3 divisions taking the attack. Pickett, enthusiastic and optimistic, long like all earlier. Telling you he was giving Lee options on July 2nd. The lightweight saying he doesn't like Lee's plan. Doesn't like it on the 30th. Right this memoir.